Hey guys, it's Kane. Welcome to another Autism Digest interview, where today we have someone extremely special. I was on Twitter just last weekend and I saw the story of a streamer whose son was having difficulties in the education system to the point where the principal told him that he should just ask to transfer schools altogether. So I figured it was only right to bring this individual on to tell her story and discuss what we can do to improve the education system for autistic and neurodivergent individuals in this country. Here is Ame. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, my first question is, for those that may not know you, do you mind telling a bit of your story in your own words?
Sure. So, my son's not autistic. I am, but he's just diagnosed ADHD. And so he already had a 504 in place because of his ADHD. And this has been in place since like fourth or fifth grade for years. He is now a junior in high school. And consistently, since moving to this school, they will say, like, we don't believe in a 504. I'm like, and you don't get to not believe in a 504. It's a legal thing. You have to do it. And then, or they'll say stuff like, if he doesn't take this accommodation, we're not going to give him this other accommodation. And so I've consistently had to bring in legal advice or legal help to enforce them following his 504. And then it all came to a head for us this year in January. He broke his arm in November. And then in January, they put him, so he was in online classes for the first part of this year in the hopes to get away from this crazy principal, but still be able to like go to prom and graduate with his friends. And it really wasn't working, and his grades really took a hit with doing the online program. So we decided in January to put him back in regular classes, and they put him in a PE class. Well, he broke his arm in November, and so as soon as he got in there, he told her, I can't be in PE, I have a broken arm. And she asked that all of this goes through email, and so we have all the email proof that he told her the very first day back, I can't be in PE, I broke my arm. She didn't respond. A week later, he sends it again. Hey, I can't be in PE. Can I be in an art class instead? I asked and they have space for me. And she didn't respond. So then by the third week, I said, okay, screenshot your doctor's note that says you can't be in there. They already had the doctor's note at this point. But I said, screenshot it and send it with the email that you cannot be in there per your doctor's note. And that's when she responded back. Your doctor doesn't dictate your schedule and you will stay in PE. So their next, I told him, I said, well, you're not supposed to be doing unnecessary movement. So just refuse. And their argument was, well, if he can walk to class, he can walk laps at PE. And I'm like, no, because walking to class is necessary movement and walking in PE isn't, because they're still playing volleyball around him. So there's every chance he could get hit by something or he could trip and fall. And like, it's unnecessary movement, right? And so that's when I decided I would ask for an emergency medical 504 stating he has a broken arm. You can't make him do this thing. I'm put him in a study room, a study hall. Like, there are so many other options out there. I don't understand why we were fighting for 3 weeks over PE. But it's been a consistent thing with this principal. And I think this was retaliation for me bringing in lawyers in the past for his 504 on his ADHD side. And yeah, it finally came to a head on Friday where she said, come and get your kid, unenroll him. He doesn't belong here anyways. And so I had to rush over and pick him up and take him out of school. And right now he is not enrolled in school because I don't have anywhere to put him yet. Yeah.
Well, firstly, let me just say I'm glad you didn't name the school up
Yeah.
right. It takes a lot of strength, and that just shows how good of a person you are. I can tell. And secondly, all of this sounds outrageous because you're right. Walking to class, last I checked, is definitely a necessary movement because you have to be in the
Right.
classroom to learn a particular subject. Walking
Yeah.
laps in PE is dangerous at best and a liability at worst of schools. And so
Mhm.
that's definitely strike two. And the fact that they're retaliating against you is extremely childish, which transitions beautifully into my next question. Overall, whether it be in your state specifically or in this country as a whole, what can be done, in your opinion, to improve the conditions that autistic and neurodivergent individuals go through in the school system?
I feel like it's twofold. The teachers need to be better trained. I think, we do a lot of HR trainings on what is appropriate in the workspace, but I think we also need to be considering like what is appropriate for students in the school space. So we need probably a yearly, even if it's a video, but a yearly course that goes over what's a 504, what's an IEP, what are the expectations, what can you deny and what can't you deny. And I think teachers should be required to go through that every single year. And then I also think there is kind of a failing for parents. Not every parent knows their rights. And I don't really know how we reach them and give them like that information more. Like, you have to have a drive to learn it, right? You have to say, my kid deserves better. How do I get better for them? But I didn't even know advocates existed until he was in high school and we started dealing with this. And I have other kids with IEPs. So, like, I feel like somewhere along the way, there's some failings in informing us of what our options are. And so I think there's probably parents at this school that are just being swept under the rug and don't realize that their kid isn't getting what they deserve because they've never done the research as much as I have. And like, I don't know, maybe doctors need to step in at diagnosis time and just here's a list of things that your child should be have access to, even if it's just like a 504 for something temporary, like a broken arm. It would be nice if there was a little bit of a packet that came home and said, like, these are things that you can do to help accommodate them in the school setting. Something like that would be great.
That would definitely be great. As an autistic individual myself, I've definitely been through the ringer that is the public school system,
Yeah.
specifically, mainly in Tennessee, which I think is a few states away from where you are in Georgia. And their reason for not wanting me to have an IEP was because I was thriving academically when
Mm-hmm.
that's not really how it works, autism and neurodiversity. It doesn't matter if you thrive academically, you still need hope socially and emotionally.
Yes.
So I absolutely agree. All those would be spot on. And I'll expand on that a bit and add that there should be office hours for teachers to help the students, whether they're neurodivergent or not, with a particular assignment they don't understand, similar to what colleges have. Speaking of students, my next question for you is bullying can definitely be increased amongst the neurodiverse community. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think parents and teachers can do to implement stricter bullying policies in school districts?
Well, that's really hard, especially considering our bullying is coming from the administration and from the teachers. He never really had issues that were directly related to his neurodivergence in bullying, except for the staff. And I don't know. I've heard there are hotlines out there. This is all new to me. I heard through my Twitter thread that there's a hotline to report um, administration that is bullying. And so I'm going to look into that one. But for parents, I just think you got to keep that door open, that conversation open. And anytime you notice something different, like, hey, do you need a chat? Because you really are your kid's first line of defense. I think a lot of kids are really afraid to stick up for themselves. And if you're not checking in and you're not sticking up for them, then who else is?
Exactly. Exactly. And I will also add that it's on the parents to teach their children kindness and basic human decency, not
Mm-hmm.
just towards the neurodivergent community, but for all groups. If the parents are nasty and rude and are into influencers, such as, for relevancy's sake, Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and Myron Gaines, more likely than not, the child is going to implement that into their academic life. And it just starts a rabbit hole of chaos, which is a scary thing. My
Yeah.
last question for you is: you are a streamer. Have you ever thought of
Yes.
doing a live stream for the neurodivergent community in the future?
I haven't. And so I even put that on my Twitter. I gained quite a few followers overnight because of my Twitter post. And it's not my content, right? So I am a late diagnosed autistic. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 30. And I really struggled through the public schooling system because I didn't get the help, and I didn't make it through college because I didn't know how to navigate it anymore. So I definitely have a story of my own, but I also didn't want that to be my entire story, right? Like I just wanted people to like me for me. And so I never really published it anywhere that I didn't lean into it. Like I don't introduce myself like, hey, I'm Ame the autistic, right? And so I don't know. I've never really wanted that to just be my platform because I really had hoped people would just like me for me. So I haven't, no.
I definitely understand that, and I definitely like you for you. Like I said, you're the bigger person for not name dropping the school. Well, that's that there's still good in the world, and two, I just love your vibe, so I definitely feel that. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this interview, guys. Thanks so much to Ame for coming on and sharing her story. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. Our latest issue finally came in the mail for me. It looks something like this. You can get it by going to autismdigest.com, and stay tuned for the audio file of this interview to be posted on our Spotify. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.